Rats me and he also plays bass. Mark out sewage all over the place. Bob sits on his ass and he draws. Chris thinks people really suck. Mark finds dead raccoons and ducks. Bob sits on his ass and he blogs about things that probably don't exist. It's Mightiest Bastard.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Earth's Mightiest Bastards vlog. I am Mark Stores, and with me as always is...
Chris.
And...
Rob!
This week we're going to be talking about some giant monster movies because...
the very best.
The latest Godzilla movie came out in Japan.
Shin Gojira. True and or Godzilla.
Depending on
your translation. But yes. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, it is. And being old school monster fans, we're going to talk a little bit about some giant monsters. So real quick, we're going to do our top 3 Godzilla movies.
Okay.
Not a lot of explanation, just real quick top 3.
That's a tough one.
I have a cheat sheet here on my phone because I have a cheat sheet on my phone. And I'm going to give this list that I'm going to give here is going to be for my son Charlie because he watches these.
Yeah.
So what's up, Charlie?
No, you got to give love to the next generation.
And
the chat.
my love of giant monster movies has definitely been expanded by my son's love for giant monster movies.
Hanging out with kids that watch Godzilla movies makes you relive it as a kid again.
So we're going to do this in a
absolutely.
3-2-1 type of situation.
Contact?
So these are the ones that 3-2-1 contact. These are the ones that my son and I watch all the time. Godzilla versus Destroyer.
That's a solid one. He blows up.
Good for the 90s, one of the best.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily like the little tiny Destroyer.
They're creepy.
He doesn't
they're crab-like and scuttly.
Yeah, Destroyer is a cool monster, though.
But it is a cool villain. Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
One of his favorites is going to be Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Which one? Not Cosmic Monster, the original.
Like the Millennial
one? Yeah.
No, this is 74.
Oh, so the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's originally Godzilla versus the Bionic Monster, changed because they got sued.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster is what I saw in the theater as the only one I ever saw on the big screen.
And I don't see it on here, but it's Godzilla and Megaguirus.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking that you maybe were going to say one of the 2000s one. That was like right after, I think, 2000. Megaguirus, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. And that was a good one, too.
That wasn't bad, no.
That was another, like, kind of a vermin, like, insectoid sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, they were
very
fly,
cool.
like,
sick,
locusty bullshit.
Well, I got to amend that, actually, because it's going to be
Megaguirus?
Godzilla versus Megalon because of Jet Jaguar.
Well,
yeah, that's going to be on the list.
This is going to be on all our lists because it's my nephew Hunter, who's been on the pod. It's his favorite Godzilla, secondary character, and it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
I'm gonna do my list now quick. It's got to include Godzilla versus Megalon because it is an amazing film. A lot of people dismiss it because it uses some stock footage and because it's basically battling tag teams in the desert. But I love that about it. I don't care that they're not destroying miniatures. To me, the thrill is seeing giant monsters fighting each other. And some of the best. Megalon spitting fireballs, drill hands. Gigan, one of the coolest monsters ever in the pantheon of kaiju villains with his hook hands and his tusks and his beak and his saw belly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's wicked. And Jet Jaguar, who is obviously an homage to Ultraman, but like kind of a grinning, leering, monstrous robot version.
Yeah. Pointy head.
He's wicked. So there's that.
Yeah. And when he flies, it's awesome.
And when he can change size, when he gets super sized, exactly. Plus, there's like a spy subplot, an alien subplot.
Yeah, there's car chases.
The coolest child's boat toy.
Sand intro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's it with the kid's boat?
That weird fish boat.
It was like a dolphin, and it had baby dolphins.
Yeah, that were the pedals.
Yeah, and then a whirlpool, and it goes to hell.
Yeah, and then the lake disappears, and everyone's terrified.
Damn it.
I know.
I want the lake back. Bring me back to the lake.
The second one for me, I might be doing it in reverse because Megalon is always going to be closest to my heart.
Your list might be the same as mine.
Yeah. It's going to be Godzilla versus Hedorah, also known as the Smog Monster. It is the most reviled by Tomoyuki Tanaka, the producer of all the original Godzilla movies up through the 90s.
Yeah.
But it is a psychedelic experience. It is one of the great villains. It can change shapes. He can fly. He can swim. He can walk on land. He made me think about pollution as a kid. I actually picked up litter for like 3 days
Oh, yeah,
after I saw
visually
this
it's-
movie.
Because of Godzilla?
It's the smog
Alright.
monster. It just
There you go.
really it is an indictment against pollution, and it's a psychedelic late '60s masterpiece.
Absolutely it is.
And I'll say this: what is commonly known here as Monster Zero or Invasion of Astro Monster is one of my all-time favorites. I did it reverse from first to third, but forgive me. It's got Nick Adams. It's got Akira Takarada, Akira Kubo. It's the first one to really seriously deal with aliens.
Absolutely.
It was the second one to deal with King Ghidorah. It was Rodan and Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. So it had those cool aliens with the punk rock one lens glasses. And it's just an awesome movie, and it's one of Ishiro Honda's best. So that's my 3.
Nice. All right, Chris, your 3 Godzilla films.
All right. I guess number 3 would be the first Godzilla vs. Gigan. With the theme park.
Oh.
And the
That's
comic
solid,
book artists, because that's pop.
so good.
That's pop cinema at its finest.
Yeah,
That really is
that's
a
amazing.
fun movie. Yeah,
That's always sticks out as one of my favorites. Second one is Megalon.
So we all have Megalon in
it's
there.
glorious.
It's
It's a glorious
it
film.
is.
And it's one of the
How
most
could it not be?
maligned, funnily enough.
Mhm.
True Godzilla fans, quote unquote, Shin Godzilla fans, if you will, loathe that movie. They're wrong.
Yeah, I love
it is
it.
pure
It's so good.
fun.
It's-
It
yeah,
is
fun as balls. I
cinematic
don't know how you
joy.
not love it.
Yeah, I know.
And,
I don't
and the last one, which doesn't even fit in the continuity, is Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters, All Out Attack by Shinsuke Kaneko.
Movie, yeah.
It is amazing.
It might not be the best, but I still think it is the best, and it's still my favorite because it's just so fucking
You know,
good.
what's funny is that I would, if I could go back in time, I would probably amend my list.
It's
because
so good.
I love everything I said, but Chris is right. For the modern film, Shusuke Kaneko, who again has a Gamera connection, but we'll say that for another time, is an amazing director. Godzilla is villainous again. Baragon finally gets used properly. One of the great sub characters.
And it's
awesome.
like a direct sequel to the original
original
movie, but it's not
Godzilla.
fit in the canon.
Yeah,
At all.
a lot of times in Godzilla films they reboot. They just like 85 is the sequel, direct sequel. At least 3 or 4 times I think they do direct sequels, but this is the best one. And the monster fights are simply amazing.
Yeah.
And Godzilla with the white eyes and truly a villainous presence. It's the most terrifying Godzilla since the first.
His breath is
Period.
just brutal. It just destroys everything.
Yeah,
Now,
it's scary.
It's
Funny
such a
enough,
good movie.
probably the one Godzilla that I didn't mention on the list, but my son and I watched quite a bit is Final Wars.
Yeah.
Because
If I
they
was
just
That's
fan,
designed for kids.
constantly.
If I was a kid, I would have lost my mind.
Absolutely.
And he absolutely loves King Caesar.
So yes, and that goes to Mecha Godzilla too.
Yeah.
And that's basically a
Yeah.
bipedal Pomeranian Japanese mountain god
Whose
sing to life.
ears go like
yeah.
this. Yeah. And he,
But he is awesome, and when I saw him as a
Yeah.
kid too, I absolutely was enthralled. So I completely get it.
obviously, Final Wars, there's a bit of
Well, it's Matrix meets
yeah,
It's
know,
all
action,
trying to be style. There's no substance.
yeah.
which is Kimura in a nutshell, the
Yeah.
director. That's all
The
he is.
fights are fun.
Sure.
Seeing all those
Ish.
monsters fight, especially when the U.S. version of Godzilla, the Emmerich version of Godzilla shows up.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. He gets
That's
destroyed
rated.
in the
It's
Sydney
pretty
Opera
cool.
House. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, there you go. There are our top 3 and our sub lists of the current Godzilla.
And we're gonna talk just a smidge about now that Shin Toho is out, or Shin Gojira from Toho is out, and they're making the sequel to the Gareth Edwards Godzilla, which allegedly has Mothra, Rodan,
Allegedly,
and King Ghidorah,
Yep.
which is good because Mutos were not bad, but they were not canon, and it's really going to be exciting to see. Just like in Batman movies, to see the redux of the Joker, the redux of Scarecrow, it's going to be exciting to see these modern reduxes of these classic Toho licensed monsters. But what would we like to see? Perhaps in the next Toho, or even in the next, well, we know the next American is going to be versus King Kong. But like, is there any other monsters you'd like to see dusted off, or
Gigan?
Gigan?
Yeah,
That's it.
Gigan,
That would have been number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
Number 1,
Every
hands down.
time.
He is the coolest.
He is.
He is a cybernetic alien
He's
reptile
an
bird.
80s crust punk.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. No,
He
honestly,
is.
sans the piercing
He is,
and
yeah.
tattoos, but he looks like it.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got a thin mohawk for the love of
Yeah.
God, a belly saw, the whole
I
9
mean,
yards.
this is a super big jump here, but if we could see some type of Jet Jaguar, that'd be amazing.
That's a given for me.
100%.
I'm sure it would never happen, but
But it should.
if
It
there
should, because
was
he is-
some resurgence of
He's the
him,
most
that
beloved
would be
character
great, yeah.
that only showed up once. Like, I don't even know
Yeah.
how many other sub-characters, and you'd have to talk to, like, a Godzilla scholar, which we will be soon. But how many of these characters just show up? Even Varan shows up briefly
Yeah.
in Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything, but shows up.
Right.
So there's not a lot of creatures. Varan would be an interesting one to see come back. But what I'd like to see again, because I loved him in Godzilla, or Frankenstein Conquers the World, and loved him again in Godzilla All Out Monster Attack, is Baragon.
Baragon,
A
yeah.
nice,
Yeah, totally.
proper redux of Baragon would very much excite me.
He's pretty cool.
He's a cute character, but he's also badass. You know, he can burrow through the ground. He
Yeah.
can do some really cool things.
But then again, if you had the people come together and build a robot to fucking help Godzilla.
A proper Mecha Godzilla. One of
So
the coolest.
You're talking like
That would be the new
the
Jaguar.
Yeah.
spine of the original Godzilla, and they build a mech around it.
Well, they did that
No, I'm
already.
not talking about mecha. I mean,
Oh, just
building a robot to help Godzilla.
oh, okay, all right, gotcha. Like,
Well, they did that. They did that with Mogira. They brought the
Yeah,
robot
yes,
from the
right.
Mysterians back as a
Right.
human-built robot.
But I mean, it's got to be the Jaguar connection.
yeah, it should be.
I mean, that homage-wise,
It would be
But
great.
even seeing a newer interpretation of Mechagodzilla would be kind of cool because you could almost Pacific,
absolutely.
you could almost Pacific Rim it,
You'd have to.
or maybe.
But why would they build him?
some
To fight him?
Jaegers Show up. Well,
Godzilla's already a
the-
hero. People were clapping ticker tape parade at the end of the last fucking movie.
Yeah, he only destroyed all of everything.
Yeah,
in
so
San
it doesn't.
Francisco.
Yeah, so there's no need to make something.
Maybe to
bad.
help,
No, that was
help
ridiculous.
him.
That's why they got to build a
fight the
Jaguar
new
type.
Hedorah.
Hedorah would not be a bad call.
He's built from fracking.
People are over like water pollution.
No,
It's
water-
climate
water-
change.
It's
There are
true, but it could
climate
be
change
climate
going
change
Oh,
Hedorah.
yeah,
It could be.
climate change Hedorah. He shows up
Absolutely.
and melts ice caps and
Yeah.
discharges polar
on.
bears.
He's just melting ice cube.
Yeah, he's a melting ice cube. Yeah, there you go.
All the water levels
He's made
rise.
of all that. He's made of all that fracking stuff that everyone complains about.
Oh yeah,
Is fracking stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, fracking. Yeah,
Fracking
totally.
juice.
Yeah, all right, so Godzilla versus fracking is apparently what we're
Fracula.
proposing.
I think really what we're saying is that we
Dracula.
want
I
to see
know.
this new Godzilla fight other giant monsters.
And we want to see new versions of classic monsters, which is something they haven't
Yeah.
given us.
No.
I mean, look, I enjoy seeing Godzilla tear apart Tokyo like
Of
everybody
course.
else. I prefer him fighting other monsters.
That's
though.
exactly
Me too.
it. There's
I
a
really do
line
prefer
between
fighting
old
monsters,
school
yeah.
fans where they love to see him destroy miniatures
Yeah.
and new school fans like us that were born in the 70s, early 80s that love to see him fight other monsters. There's a balance. I mean, a good city destroying is cool.
Yeah,
but
I
you
like
see,
it.
you know what city destroying is? Foreplay to the monster battle.
Yeah.
To city
Yeah.
destroy and do nothing else, you're going to leave me with kaiju blue balls, and that's not what I'm looking
Nobody
for.
wants
I'm
kaiju.
looking for
Yeah.
destroy the
No, I
city,
know.
but then fight the fucking monster. That's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't really fight it. Nobody ever wins against. You can throw a million choppers and masers and all sorts of
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
It's just not
Oh,
exciting.
1,400
Those
battleships.
cool
Because it
anti-Godzilla
works.
lasers.
Yeah, it never works. They never win. There's nothing ever.
You can't achieve anything.
No.
Humanity can't destroy these things.
No.
Another monster can't.
Yes.
That's sort of like The Exorcist. Get a demon to fight a demon.
And then you raise Godzilla from the depths and have him come in and just wreck everything.
Anyway, it's a great time to love giant monsters.
It is.
Between Pacific Rim
It is.
2, the new Godzilla, Shin Gojira,
Yeah.
it is a golden age of kaiju, and I hope it keeps going, and we're all going to
Same
be
here.
watching the developments and letting you guys know in the podcast. And and maybe in the not too distant future we'll break down some flying turtle action. But that's for another day.
We should definitely do Gamera Pod.
I love Gamera too.
I'm
I
into
love
that.
giant monsters.
Do that.
Japanese giant monsters for life.
All right.
Kaiju. Boom.
Earth's mightiest bastard. Earth's mightiest bastard. We might not know more than you, but now that we think about it, I think we do.